Hello everyone. So in the last video we talked about how to add tasks or add rows to the database, and in this video we're going to be talking about how to edit and also delete tasks in the database. And these two things, what we're doing today and what we did in the last video, are actually pretty similar. So although it seems like we're going to be doing a lot today, it's actually going to be pretty easy. So let's get started. To update and also to delete a task, we're gonna need to have the ID returned from the user. So the way we're gonna be doing that is by first making a form in this tr to return stuff. So we're just gonna say form. So this whole row here is going to actually be a form. So let's put the end over here. And let's just indent. And in this form, we're not only going to need the task name, but we're also going to need the ID as well. So in this db.py, in get task list, we're going to have to need select ID, comma, task name, comma is done. And what's that? And here we're going to have to say td, and we're going to say, let's just copy this. And we're going to change this to 1 and this to 2. So now in this we're going to just run this actually, and when we do that we get task name is the IDs because we didn't change the headings, and we got read a book here and also false. And we don't want the user to see the ID because it's not really useful for the user to see. So the way we're going to be doing that is by saying here input, and we're going to have to say type is equal to hidden, that hides it, and value is equal to task 0. So this is what the user sees. And also here we're going to have to say name is equal to ID. And let's just end it here, slash. And we're going to have to do pretty much the same thing for task 1. So let's delete this. Put task 1 here. We're going to change the name to edit task, or let's update is a better word. Update task. And the type is going to be text box because we want them to be able to type in it. So type equals text, and we're not going to be changing the true or false value yet, so let's just keep the task 2 the same. So rerun, and we get a blank box here. We don't want this blank box because that's pretty ugly and we don't want the user to see that. And we have read a book as a text box. Great. So what we're going to have to do to change this to not have a blank box is we're going to have to take this input and put it inside this column. So we're going to take it, we're going to take the input and put it in here, and then delete that. And now when we rerun it, we get perfect. We have a text box under task name, and we get the is done value. Good. So now we're going to have to get a submit button to submit the form as well. And we're going to call this button save. So td, and let's do open and input, type is equal to submit, name equals save, because this is going to be the save button, and then value, let's also keep it as save. Good. So now let's click rerun one last time. And when we hit save, we get ID equals 7 because that's the hidden ID. Update task equal the name update task is read a book, and the save is save because that's the button that they pressed. So let's close that, and now we're going to have to use this. We're going to have to post it to the URL. So we're going to say, just like we did in add task, we're going to say method equals post and action equals /edit. Let's make it /edit. So form, we're going to say method equals post and action equals /edit. Or let's do update. Update is always better. So now in main.py, we're going to have to create a new route called app.route, and it's going to be called edit, right? Or update, sorry, /update, comma, method equals post, just like for adding the task. So method equals all caps post, and we're going to have to say def update, and we're just going to do the redirection because we haven't created the function yet. So here, let's just do that. So now, if we hit save, it just redirects us back to here. It doesn't really do anything. But it did actually post it to /update. So now if we head into db.py, we can create a new function called update task. And what are the parameters it's going to take? So it's going to take the name, and it's also going to take the ID. And then pretty much everything is the same as add task, just the query is a little different. So we're going to hit paste here, and then we're going to say execute. We can pretty much delete everything here. So we're going to say update public dot task list, capital task list, and we're going to say set name is equal to, we're going to have to do \\/ here because it is a string, and we can't have the quotation marks conflicting with the Python string quotation marks. So we're going to have to say set name is equal to %s, and then we're going to have a where, we're going to have where ID is equal to %s and a semicolon. And outside here, we're going to have to say percent, and let's just do this, name, comma, ID, right? Because the first one is going to be the name, the second one is going to be the ID. Good. And let's just add that. So now we're going to have to put this update task in main.py. So before that, we're going to have to do the request.form. So we're going to say, we can use task name because it's not going to conflict with this because they're in two different functions. So we're going to say task name request dot form, and we're going to say, or let's just change it, let's just say updated task name is equal to form, and let's see what we called it. We called it update task. So update task, check one more time, update task, and then we had the ID is equal to request dot form ID. And now we can take these and let's just import the update task. And we're just going to say update task of updated task name, comma, ID. Great. So now if we run this, we will get, okay. So let's change let's change ride bike to code a page. And let's see what went wrong. So here we have update task list set. Oops, we have to say set task name, sorry. Task underscore name and rerun. Now let's change this to code a page. Sorry about that. And we get code a page is now in the database. Good. So now we're going to have to do the delete task. So let's do that. So deleting a task is actually a lot easier than updating a task. So all we really need to do is first head over to the tasklist.html and we're going to have another button that deletes it. So it's going to have the exact same stuff, it's just going to, the value is just going to be a little different. We're just going to say X. So when the user clicks on the X, it'll delete it. So let's rerun and we get this X. So the X just doesn't really, we didn't code the X to actually do anything. So what we're going to have to do is when we go over to main.py, we're going to need an if condition. So what this if condition is going to do is if the user clicks on this save button, then it's going to do the update. But if the user clicks on X, it's going to delete it. So for that, we're going to actually change this name here to, let's just say, save or delete. And let's copy that here as well. So save or delete. And now, just to see that that doesn't do anything, let's just do this. Change this back to ride bike. So now if we hit save, cool. And let's just try that one more time. Wash dog, cool. So now we have the X and let's just say here, let's say button is equal to request dot form of, and what was it called? It was called save underscore or underscore delete. Save or delete. And actually to key, a better way is actually doing this. Save or delete, and let's do that here as well. Or delete, and here, or, oops, or delete. And now, just to make sure, okay, good. And now what we're gonna have to do here is code our db.py. So we're gonna have to say define delete task, and all this is gonna need is just the ID, and it's gonna copy everything here and paste there. And this is really just gonna be delete, oops, delete from public dot task list where ID is %s, and all this is going to need is just and there. Nice. So now we can close that up, and here we're going to actually say if button is equal to save, oops, this has to be quotation marks, save, so let's change that, there you go. We're going to do update task, correct, yes, and elif button is equal to x, we are going to have to import delete task and do delete task of our ID. Good. So now once we run this, let's just check to see if it works. And it does. So now once we add, let's say, a ride bike and give it the date 1 comma or 1/30 comma 2021. Very nice. And see if our update still works. We'll say read a book. Very good. And the one final thing I want to do here is, this is a pretty horrible way of doing our add task, update task, and delete task, because we're repeating the same lines, con equals, cur equals, con.commit, cur.close, con.close, every single time. And really, we just have to create a new function right here called def execute query. So execute query, and all it really needs is just the query. So we can just grab everything in here and paste it in here, and let's just remove those indents, and instead of saying insert into, we're just going to say query. And now we can just copy this, copy, and now we just say execute query of this, and that's all we need in there. And then here we're just going to say the exact same thing. We're going to copy this and then just say execute query, paste it, and same exact thing for delete task. Copy, oops, and execute query, paste. Let's just give it some extra line there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's just run it one last time, see if everything is working. Let's add a task called do laundry, and let's say 1/31/2021, and let's delete ride a bike, and let's change wash dishes to wash dog. Save. And that is all of the queries that we can run. And that's also going to be it for this video. Let's just open up terminal and save all of this. So we're going to go to D drive, or let's push this to GitHub, sorry, not save all of it. We're going to say cd code slash task list git add, we had templates main.py and db.py, and let's do git commit, and we're going to say -m, let's do edit and delete tasks. So now hit enter, and let's say git push, and there you go. So like I said before, that's going to be it for this video, and in the next video we're just going to be doing some cleaning up of our code and also pushing and just cleaning up the web page in general. But that's all for now, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.